The story of Joseph. Long ago, in the land of Canaan, there was a man named Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, and he loved them all dearly. But among them, his youngest son Joseph was very special to him. Joseph was born when Jacob was older, and he loved him more than all his other sons. Jacob even made Joseph a beautiful coat of many colors, a sign of his great love for him. His brothers were jealous of Joseph, and they didn't like how their father favored him. But Joseph wasn't just special to his father. He was special in other ways too. Joseph had dreams that were strange, but seemed to mean something important. One day, when Joseph was still just a young boy, he had a dream that he shared with his brothers. In the dream, he and his brothers were in a field, and they were all gathering bundles of wheat. Suddenly, Joseph's bundle stood up straight, and the bundles of his brothers all bowed down to it. Joseph excitedly told his brothers, "I had a dream that we were all in the field, and your bundles bowed down to mine." Joseph's brothers were angry. "Are you saying that you will rule over us?" They scolded him. But Joseph didn't stop there. He had another dream, and this time, the dream was even more amazing. He dreamt that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to him. Joseph told his father and his brothers about this dream too. Jacob, though amazed, scolded Joseph a little, asking, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" But even though his father scolded him, Jacob thought about it for a long time, wondering what the dream meant. Joseph's brothers grew more and more jealous and angry. One day, when Joseph went to check on them, as they were taking care of their father's sheep, they saw him coming from a distance. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "Let's get rid of him." They decided to throw him into a pit and leave him there. But just as they were about to do that, they saw a group of traders passing by, on their way to Egypt. The brothers changed their minds and decided to sell Joseph to the traders instead. So, Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Joseph was taken far away to Egypt, where he was sold as a slave to a man named Potiphar, who was an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Even though Joseph was far from home, he did his best in everything he did. God was with him, and everything he touched seemed to succeed. Potiphar noticed Joseph's hard work and faithfulness, and he made him the overseer of his entire household. Joseph became trusted with everything Potiphar owned, but trouble was coming. Potiphar's wife began to take an interest in Joseph, and she wanted him to do something wrong. Joseph refused, saying, "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" But one day, when no one was around, she grabbed Joseph by his coat and asked him to stay with her. Joseph quickly ran away, leaving his coat behind. Potiphar's wife, angry and embarrassed, accused Joseph of doing something he didn't do. Potiphar was very upset and threw Joseph into prison. But even in prison, Joseph didn't give up. He remained faithful to God, and once again, God was with him. The warden of the prison noticed how Joseph helped others and was good at everything he did. So, the warden put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. One day, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, had 2 strange dreams. In the first dream, he saw 7 healthy cows eating grass by the river. Then, 7 thin and ugly cows came and ate the healthy cows. In the second dream, Pharaoh saw 7 healthy heads of grain growing on a stalk. Then, 7 thin heads of grain swallowed up the healthy ones. No one could interpret Pharaoh's dreams, but the cupbearer, who had been in prison with Joseph, remembered how Joseph had interpreted his own dream. Joseph was brought to Pharaoh, and he said, "I cannot interpret your dreams, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." Joseph explained that the dreams meant there would be 7 years of plenty in Egypt, followed by 7 years of famine. Joseph advised Pharaoh to store up food during the 7 good years so Egypt would have enough during the 7 years of famine. Pharaoh was so impressed with Joseph's wisdom that he made him the second most powerful person in Egypt. In charge of storing the food, Joseph's work saved Egypt, and he became a great leader. Years passed, and a great famine spread not just in Egypt, but all over the land. Joseph's brothers, who were still living in Canaan, were running out of food. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain. When they arrived, they didn't recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognized them immediately. He could see that they had changed, but he wanted to test them. After a series of events, Joseph finally revealed himself to his brothers. "I am Joseph, the brother you sold into slavery," he said. His brothers were terrified, but Joseph reassured them. "Do not be afraid. It was not you who sent me here, but God," he said. "God sent me ahead of you to save lives. There has been a famine for 2 years, and there will be 5 more years without plowing or harvesting. But God sent me here to provide for you." Joseph forgave his brothers, and he invited them, along with his father, to come live in Egypt, where they would be safe from the famine. Jacob, his sons, and their families moved to Egypt, and they settled in a land called Goshen, where they prospered and became a great nation. Moral lessons for children: have faith in God. Even when things are tough, God is always with us. Joseph trusted in God's plan. Even when he was sold as a slave and thrown into prison, God had a bigger purpose for him. Be quick to forgive. Joseph chose to forgive his brothers, even though they had hurt him. He showed kindness and love, teaching us the importance of forgiving others. Always work hard with integrity. Joseph worked hard in everything he did, and he stayed true to his beliefs. He didn't give in to temptation, and God blessed him for his honesty and faithfulness. God has a plan for all of us. Sometimes things don't make sense, but God has a plan for our lives, even when we can't see it. Just like Joseph, we can trust that God will guide us. And so, Joseph's faith, forgiveness, and hard work saved not only his family, but also the entire nation of Egypt. God's plan for Joseph was greater than he could ever imagine, and through it all, Joseph learned that no matter what happens, we can always trust in God's perfect plan for us.